You never saw it, man?
All right. Welcome to the show. It is Ringside Report. I'm Dave Simon. Fred Garcia's here. AJ DeLesio is here. You can follow us on the things. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Dave Simon MMA. Follow AJ at Dan E. Bruck, and you can follow Freddie at Freddie MMA. Of course, we are on every Thursday night live on YouTube. You can check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. We appreciate all of that. Go to our website, www.ringsidereport.net, for more information on all of that. We got your pro wrestling covered. We got your MMA covered. We're doing some MMA here tonight. We're on TSN 690 radio every Friday night, and we're here bringing it to you. We've got some UFC 243 to get to. UFC 243 taking place this Saturday in Australia.
Good day, mate.
And AJ is like really dressed up for the occasion. If you're just listening to this, you are missing out on the tremendous visual tonight of AJ, who he's dressed. I can't even imagine I don't know. You're not wearing a shirt, which is a little distressing to me.
I'm sure you like it, Dave. Ready?
Is
a little bit of a carpet going here?
Yeah, you got your chest hair all pumping out there. You're wearing a little vest and a hat. How would you? It's like a cowboy type hat, like a rancher's hat.
Well, it's supposed to be something else, Dave.
It's supposed to be like.
I said to Freddie,
you're supposed to be dressed like Crocodile Dundee.
You actually know that?
And that's because UFC 243 is in Australia this weekend. A big Australian main event. Israel Adesanya taking on Robert Whittaker. Adesanya from New Zealand, Whittaker from Australia. It's for the UFC middleweight title. And we're going to preview that fight and the whole card, UFC 243, Ally Quinta, Dan Hooker in the co-main event, and some other good fights.
Hooker's in the house.
On this one, we'll also give you some news about GSP. Dana White's talking about making a GSP fight, which is always exciting. We'll talk about UFC Denmark. Did anybody watch UFC Denmark last Saturday afternoon? It was on Fight Pass. AJ swore to us last week on the show that it would be on TSN, even though I told him I didn't think it would be.
Did I say TSN or ESPN?
No, you said TSN. Yeah. Fred?
You said TSN.
Thank you. So.
Wait a sec.
Yeah.
First of all.
Anyways.
Wait.
We're going to talk about that card. We're also going to talk about Gegard, my main man, Gegard Mousasi, who got a very big win over Lyoto Machida last weekend in Bellator, and then made some claims about Rafael Lovato and steroids and stuff like that. Some pretty good stuff from Gegard Mousasi. He was salty again at the press conference after beating Lyoto Machida last Saturday night. Weird Bellator card, which I guess I'm going to have to explain to you guys because I know neither of you watched
it finished like at a crazy time, I think.
My goodness. It finished so late. Like, I understand it was in California, but please recognize that there are people that live on the East Coast. There are people that live, New York time, Toronto time, Montreal time. And it finished at like 1:30, 1:45. It was super late.
It's because you guys have kids. That's why.
Come on, man. It was very late. And the problem was it wasn't that it was a fight before the main event that was slowing things down. They did this fight selection panel thing. It was bizarre. They have this tournament, right? You guys didn't see it.
No, we missed out.
You guys know what I'm talking about? You guys have no idea, right? All right. Yeah, but those 4 fights, I'm not really sure what those 4 fights were. Bellator is an extremely confusing MMA promotion, and it got very, very confusing on Saturday night. I'm not really sure what those featherweight fights were. They were featherweight, I guess, first round fights?
Yeah, they were all first round fights.
So what was that selection thing that they had? Because after that, they chose who they fought next and when. I guess that was the first round, and those guys had all won fights in the first round.
I guess it's not brackets. I guess it's done from some sort of draw or something. I don't know. I didn't see the show.
Okay, so what happened was they line up all the guys in the tournament on the stage.
Yeah.
And they give them all numbers. Okay. And then their numbers, it's like, okay, number 1, and then whoever has number 1, well, they get first pick on when they're going to fight. So there's like January, I think there was December, January, or March, right? You had 3 options of which month you're going to fight in. So but you don't know who your opponent is. So the fighter 1, whoever drew number 1 at random, goes up and it's like, okay, you have 90 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever to decide when you're going to fight next. So the guy's like, January. Okay? So then the next guy, whoever draws 2, comes up and it's like, all right, what are you going to do? And the guy's like, March. So he doesn't even pick to fight the next guy. He's just like, yeah, I'll just fight whoever decides to fight me. And then the third guy shows up and he's like, December. So then they all set up fights, but they don't know who their opponent is. And then the other 3 guys, then they get numbers and they're like, I guess I'll fight this guy in this month. But no, there were 4 guys, right? So there was, right? So it's an 8-man tournament, right? So they all kind of match up. And then when they're all set up, they all have fights. They all kind of, it's weird. So if you're number 5 or 6, you kind of have an advantage because you can not only pick your opponent, but you could also pick when you're going to fight. Well, I mean, your opponent has already chosen, when he's going to fight. It was super weird and super confusing. It was like the weirdest thing, and that's what delayed the main event.
How long did it last?
It was like half an hour. Like, it was very strange, Bellator. I don't know what you were doing. It was kind of a cool concept, and like if it was placed somewhere else or on the prelims,
well, I mean, if you want to
something,
do some sort of draw, I could see like the appeal from it, but don't do it just before the main event.
And then
you gotta
the
do
end,
like a separate show for that.
And then at
a
the
press
end,
conference or something, for sure.
Patricio Pitbull, who had won his fight, he's the champion, so he gets to pick last, and he gets to pick his opponent and the month. So all the matchups have been set, but he gets to just choose a different matchup for himself. He can do whatever he wants. So he decided, like, he could take the final slot or he could pick another opponent. So he chose to pick another opponent. So then the opponent that guy already had went to the empty slot that Patricio didn't pick. So Patricio kind of had like championship rights. Like he had an extra power. Yeah, wild card power in the thing. Like it was very complicated.
Sounds confusing.
And
I'm
very
like
confusing.
Wow.
And it delayed the main event by a good 20 or 30 minutes, and the fighters themselves seemed confused. Like, and also the main problem I thought was I just didn't care because I didn't know who half of these guys were. If this was a heavyweight Grand Prix where Fedor is up there and he's got 90 seconds to choose whether he fights Frank Mir in December or Andrei Arlovsky in November,
that becomes interesting, for
that
sure.
would be cool. But when it's a bunch of guys that you're not really sure who's who, they're not really big stars, and you have to sit through this, and all you really want is to watch Gegard and Lyoto, it's a bad move. It's a bad move, Bellator, and I didn't like that. That was my big complaint with the Bellator show. It was some sort of weirdo pick'em show that they inserted
maybe they
on their event just before the main event.
But what about the main event? Since you're the only one that saw it live, I saw a little bit of highlights, but hard to say from what I saw. You thought Mousasi won?
Yeah, of course. Mousasi definitely won the fight. He won a split decision. I'm not really sure why, but it was a close enough fight. It was a striking matchup where I thought Mousasi landed more shots and he was more aggressive, but Lyoto was pretty evasive, and it was a 3-round type of deal.
Did he look good? Like,
they both
look good.
They both look good. Like Lyoto looked good, Gegard looked better. But
it wasn't a dominating fight then.
Not to say no, Gegard did not dominate Lyoto, but he only had 3 rounds. I think if it would have gone a full 5, Gegard probably would have looked better. Would have been able to put it on Lyoto a little bit more.
Strange. I mean, and this fight,
but man, I just didn't like waiting so long.
So this was a one, right?
When I read
it was like past 1 a.m. when the fight started.
The next morning when I woke up, I read a lot of comments on Twitter. Like I'm going through Twitter and I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about like, wow, this fight's starting like at like 1:15 or something like that. It's like way too late for a main event. Personally, I didn't watch the card. I should have, because it's a great main event. Part of me regrets, but when I see it that it started at that time, I don't regret missing it that much.
But Freddie,
and also, I thought that Gegard and Lyoto was the co-main event. That's what really upset me, because I was like, okay, well, we have 3 of these featherweight fights, these 3-round featherweight fights, and then we have Gegard and Lyoto, and then we have the title fight in the main event, which, like, whatever. But no, the title fight wound up being the co-main event, and it went the full 5 rounds. So that delayed everything even more. Like, it was advertised as the title fight as the main event, Gegard Lyoto as the co-main event. They made a change at some point, and man,
but
maybe they just wanted everybody to stick around, and they realized that people were really there to see Gegard and Lyoto, right? But I felt bad. I had my buddy over. I was like, yeah, we're going to watch Gegard and Lyoto, and it's great. It's going to be co-main event, so we shouldn't be out too late.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we're watching this fight at like 2 in the morning. It's ridiculous.
But Freddie, I was going to say is that the biggest problem for the UFC in the past, before they moved over to like ESPN and all the rest, was the late fights that they used to have in the past. We used to like watch like fights at like 1 in the morning, and people were just like tired. Like it
still happens,
you lost its
yeah.
buzz, but it's very rare. I mean, we're looking at like fight nights and they're ending early. We're like before 11 at times, and we're like, wow, this is great. The bars are looking good. Like everybody's on a high. But when it starts hitting 1:30 mark, people are tired. And Bellator should have learned from the UFC. So the marketing team, I think I understood what they wanted to do with like hyping up the this
they're trying to get all the markets.
Round robin kind of thing. But you do this kind of stuff at a press conference or another event on a Facebook Live thing or whatever, and get the fans to be involved in it, like to build it up. You know, do a little bit of an intro of each fighter to see who they are. But when you do it on a card, like you said, a 1:30 card ending is too late. Bellator should have known better.
When you do it on a card that's already going to end very late. Like, if they did it on a card that was going to be over earlier in the night, okay, no problem. But it's like you're delaying this thing, and it winds up being nearly 2 in the morning when it's finally over. It's like, all right, come on, Bellator, help me out a little bit.
As the sport grows, I hope we get more and more of these fight cards that start around 8 p.m.
Yep.
I know it's not ideal if you're on the West Coast because, like, it's only 5 p.m. over there. But, man, for us, that like starting a card at 10 p.m. and sometimes there's, like, 6 fights, it's a long
drag.
Yeah, it's
The
exactly.
UFC does a pretty good job with their cards. Like, usually a UFC main event will start at about midnight Eastern. Which is fine. Like, if it's over by 1 a.m., I'm cool. But I don't want the main event to start after 1 a.m.
No,
I think that's a problem.
I think, like, look, Dave, like in boxing, back in the days of the Tyson fights and whatnot, whenever it was like a really hype fight, the fights would always start around midnight. That was the thing. Midnight was it.
That's
You'd
the
get
time.
there.
That's the best time to start a fight.
Because it's only like 9 p.m. on the West Coast.
Exactly.
So they're able to get everybody from all the coasts, including the central one.
Exactly. So a little bit too late there for Bellator. Nice win for Gegard Mousasi, though, and he was calling out the current champion, Rafael Lovato Jr., who beat Gegard in his last fight by decision. Gegard was saying that the guy was on steroids. He said, I mean, look at him. Look at his physique. I mean, he said he was all puffed out.
Maybe he trained.
He said his nipples were hard. Like,
what? What does he think this is? Like.
Well, he was saying that he was all like engorged, you know?
You think it's a strip joint there? I mean, it's only normal. The guy is like training. He's a big guy, Lovato, and you know what? I mean, if you don't have proof, you can't say it, right? I've heard that before.
Well, Gegard can say it. He's saying it. So
he can say what he wants.
Obviously, you can say it without proof. I don't know if he has proof.
Personally, I love it. Okay, we were talking about baseball. I'm an old school baseball fan, and I remember back in the days, everybody was like, no, we don't know if these guys are on steroids or whatever. Like, I like it when people are calling out. Whether it's true or not, I don't care. I just want the drama, the trash talk. I love this.
Yeah, but
like, I call him Mousasi, but I love Mousasi. Mousasi's much better than Mousasi.
Yeah, but you can't like be a poor loser either. You lost the last fight.
He won his last fight.
He won. He just beat Machida.
No, I'm talking about Lovato. You know what I'm saying? You know, let's be honest. Like, come on, man.
You didn't see the fight, AJ.
I did see the fight. And look,
And if you lost to somebody that you believe is on steroids.
Then, you know, well, that you believe. There's a lot of people that we believe are on steroids, picograms and all that kind of stuff. But no one ever calls them out, right?
Well, we call out a lot of people.
I do call them out because it's factual. Picogram
I don't
Jones.
understand why are you defending Lyoto Jr. here?
Why? Because he's a good fighter, and you know what? Nothing's been brought out that he has anything in his system.
Because he's a contrarian.
Have you seen the pictures?
He looks great, man. He trains.
But have you seen the difference?
I've seen the difference. I'm sure. Look,
I mean, there are pictures of him looking one way, and there are pictures of him looking another. You know, there are definitely differences in his physique. He's super jacked, and sometimes you can definitely improve your physique over time. But Gegard, you know.
But, you know.
I mean, if you look at him here on this image that I'm showing you here, right,
what a
AJ?
handsome fellow. He looks great.
This is him, okay? This is him at one point.
Yeah, it looks good.
But what's Gegard's excuse?
And then
He's not getting tested by USADA.
This is him a few years. I mean, look at this guy.
Kind of looks like me.
But what's Gegard's excuse?
Normal,
He's not
natural.
getting tested.
What do you mean?
Why isn't Gegard looking like this?
Why isn't Gegard on steroids, you're saying?
I'm just saying, he's on the same playing field.
You're saying Gegard should do steroids too, because obviously you can do steroids if you fight in Bellator?
Apparently so.
Apparently so.
Yep. There you
I'm
go,
saying
Freddie.
Gegard raises some interesting questions, and because there is no USADA, because there's no random testing like there is in the UFC, it's probably easier to get away.
But I told
with
you
doing
last
steroids.
week. I told you last week the stat about 5% of the UFC roster testing positive. That's just the people getting caught. So.
Yeah, but
there's still a lot of steroids out there. Unfortunately, it's a never-ending battle.
But Fred, look at it this way: at least they're testing in the UFC. We're getting stats on who's getting caught. We're getting the names of who's getting caught. If I remember, Mousasi left the UFC because of a claim of everybody on roids. So you know what? At least in the UFC,
went. That's not why he left the UFC. That's not at all why he left the UFC.
Yeah, he made a lot of comments about guys being like juiced, right?
He left the UFC to get a better deal with Bellator because the UFC didn't value him.
Whoa, he would have got a much better deal with the UFC if he would have stuck the time and won the championships. Come on, man, it's the UFC. Let's be honest.
What makes you say that? You're just saying things.
I'm not saying it. I'm saying factual things.
If he was being offered more money in the Bellator promotion to go and fight there, why would he not take it?
Because UFC is known to throw money away on fighters, especially. Yeah.
Well, actually,
Come on. What are you talking about?
No. I mean, you know what?
We're talking about that Crocodile Dundee.
First of all, that's what I wanted to say in the beginning of the show. I was so shocked. I said to Fred, Fred, he's not going to know this character. He's not going to know Crocodile Dundee.
I'm surprised he does.
He even knew Rambo. I don't think he knew Rambo, but he did. But Crocodile Dundee, I'm surprised.
The guy's name was Hogan, wasn't it?
Yeah, not Paul. Not Logan Paul.
Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan.
So it was Paul.
It was a Paul.
Not Hulk.
It could have been the Hulk Hogan,
Not
which
Terry.
would have been a great...
Not Big Terry, brother.
You know?
All right. So
that would be a good one to dress up as.
So you guys did not watch the Bellator. Did you watch UFC Denmark last weekend? Did you watch any MMA last weekend, guys?
You know, just to get back, it was Freddie's birthday, just to let everybody know. So it was so important that me and Freddie had to get prepared. Saturday night, we had to prepare ourselves for the birthday breakfast. And as we're saying that, it's also...
Just say we didn't watch it, man.
Yeah, we didn't watch it. We were too busy having breakfast. But I wanted to say something, man. So while people
it wasn't a great card. I won't lie. It wasn't come on, man. What is it?
I saw
Jack
the highlights.
Hermanson against who? Cannonier?
Jack Hermanson against Jared Cannonier. Cannonier winds up winning by TKO in the second round. Really put it on Jack Hermanson. It was an impressive performance from Jared Cannonier. I watched the fight, and I was the one kind of saying, who cares about this card? It's not a great card. I was saying that last week. AJ, you were really pumped about this card. You were telling people...
I got distracted.
You were telling people, A, that it was a great card, and B, that it was going to be on TV. 2, lies, right? I actually...
it wasn't a great card?
No, I'm the only one that watched it.
Man.
It was not a great card.
So I got 1 out of 2.
And it was also not on TV. It was on UFC Fight Pass only in Canada.
Yeah, but I did mention Fight Pass, right, Freddie?
No, I mentioned Fight Pass. I said, AJ, it's likely on only on Fight Pass. And you said, no, it's definitely on TV. And I said, AJ, I don't think that's true. You're giving false information once again on this show. Please stop doing that. And you said, no, Dave, it's definitely on TV. And I said, okay, AJ, we'll see. And we saw, and now You are dealing with the consequences.
At least I get my picks right. You know, Nick the Greek.
Do you?
Nick the Greek can talk about his odds,
Who?
but listen to me, I get him right.
Who?
Nick the Greek, man.
What did you get right?
I got Cannonier on that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think we all did.
I think we all picked Cannonier, didn't we? So big deal.
Yeah, but still.
He was the favorite. No, I think he might have been the underdog, but we all selected him to win.
Tell you what, I saw the highlights of OSP getting that Von Fluke.
Ooh.
4 out of the 6 ones in the history of the UFC, which
yeah, which is impressive.
Yeah,
which
very.
like it's a nice submission, and the way he pulls it off is really good. The way he presses his shoulder down into the guy's neck is really impressive. But like, guys, could we let go of the guillotine, please, when a guy's in side control? Like, let go of the head. I understand he trapped the arm
He has
there,
to
but
let go early, though.
he has to let go way earlier.
If you make the mistake of leaving your arm there, the guy that's doing the Von Fluke, he could trap your arm. It could get stuck there.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of guys just hold on to that head for no reason. Even in the UFC,
That's an error. That's definitely an error when you're...
AJ.
It's mental mistake, you know. That's the thing. Like it's so easy to see it from the outside, but as a fighter, when you're in there, I mean, you don't have a chance to see everything. You're just a lot of times these fighters come out and they don't even realize what they've done.
I just find it interesting that the Von Flew, it's a nice submission move, but it requires your opponent to make a mistake, right?
But that's jiu-jitsu, right? It's all a chess game, right?
It requires
But
a mistake, but I would tell you at some point, once the mistake is made, it's not correctable. Like, once your arm is there, OSP is making sure the guy cannot bring it back. So, like, there's a part that it's OSP that's still completing the move.
Yeah, and he trapped that arm very quickly. Like, he was really, like, he's on it. He's looking for that Von Flew choke, and you could tell that he's looking for it often. Like, he's pulling that off on people constantly in the gym, right? Like, that's
his thing.
That's
you know?
something that he's doing. You could tell that he's probably hitting that on guys
all the time.
Once a practice at least,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure. But if that's his go-to move and it's there, you do it. So that's why he has the record for that submission win. So you know what? Power to him.
They're talking about renaming it the St. Preux choke.
Something like that.
Vince St. Preux. They want to call it the St. Preux choke. But, you know, it's already got a name, the Von Flew choke. Let's just keep it the way it is. No?
Yeah, exactly. Like I in jiu-jitsu, I got this sweep. I call it the Dave sweep, but it's a
After Dave Simon?
No, it's a Dave that showed it to me, but it's not Dave Simon. But, I mean, look, give credit to the guy that invented it, man.
It's like, and I call it like, not to take away.
Did he invent it?
What?
Well, Von Fluke, yeah.
Did Jason Von Flew, the UFC fighter, invent that choke?
From what I understand, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the De La Riva. It was invented by De La Riva. There's so many moves that are invented by
Kimura.
Kimura.
Yeah.
There's so much, you know. I mean, like I was
Don't
gonna
forget
say,
Americana. Oh no, that's not a real guy, yeah.
Like we call like here in Quebec we have.
I think it was an American guy who did it first.
I'm not sure, but there's a Japanese name also for the Americana. I don't remember it, but
I think it was like an American guy who did it on a Brazilian guy, so they called it the Americana.
I think you're right. I think it was from the Helio Gracie days.
That's where that name comes from.
Yeah, I think it was a wrestler when he was doing the whole circuit of like fighting everybody.
Yeah, but Kimura, you know, it's called a double wrist lock in like catch wrestling, right? A lot of these moves exist under different names.
No, absolutely. It's like Eddie Bravo and his names of techniques.
Yeah, he comes up with all sorts of...
Yeah, like, you know, when you look at a lot of Brazilian techniques, I mean, they didn't really have like a set name for it. It was just a sequence of words of getting to that submission. And most people will be like, what the heck are you talking about? But hey, it happens. But I was going to get to one guy here in Quebec, just to mention him, Lee Villeneuve, like one of Quebec's like top submission guys. And they actually changed the name from Neon Belly to Leon Belly. So the thing is that if people get caught on the Leon Belly, they'll know exactly why it's named after him. The guy is a beast.
If you haven't felt the good Neon Belly pressure, get yourself into a jiu-jitsu gym and find somebody to do that to you to really understand what pressure feels like, right?
Well, some guys are experts at it, like Lee Villeneuve.
Or you feel like your insides are going to pop.
Yeah, it's like getting so close to death. You know, you start seeing that light. Stay away from the light, but it's too
Just
late.
by somebody putting their knee on you slightly, right?
You know what? But sometimes it sets up for other moves, and you'll see
That's
that
right.
in the UFC where they get that knee on belly, and then they try to take full mount and take top control. But
Never underestimate a good knee on belly.
Never.
That is the lesson that we are bringing to you on Ringside Report tonight. Do not ever underestimate a knee on belly. And if you really want to be tough, get a good knee on belly, right? Like if
you have to
your-
experience it.
If your knee on belly is good, you are a tough guy. So
It's a good way to keep
Respect.
somebody on the ground.
it is a good way to keep somebody from moving. Just stick your knee on their gut, right? All right, why are we talking about how to maim people and how to keep them down here,
Well,
guys?
it's jiu-jitsu, man.
That's a jiu-jitsu
Jiu-jitsu
base.
is dirty
because it's
fighting.
fun.
It's martial
Yeah.
arts, man. We're just talking about martial arts. UFC 243 is coming up here in Australia. We have big fights to talk about. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker for the UFC middleweight championship of the world. We've got some other fights on that card. We also have some GSP news to get to, and the welterweight championship main event official for UFC 245. We'll get to that and more, and I'm sure AJ's got some surprises up his, well, I wouldn't say
Up his
sleeves because he's not wearing a shirt right now. But
Or underwear, but that's a different story.
Crocodile Dundee's got something for us
Dundee
here
didn't wear
coming
any
up.
like skivvies.
It is Ringside Report here on TSN 690. Take a short pause with you. Stay with us. We're still here.
Freddie.
Dave,
This is a commercial break.
I'm sorry to do this to you.
Oh,
man.
listen to this. Let me get my cigar ready.
I got to remind you who's the real king of wrestling.
Oh, what's going on
What's
here?
happening?
Ladies and gentlemen, Freddie, stand up. Move this out.
AEW?
Oh.
You're going all crazy for AEW?
I love
Freddie,
Vince
stand up,
McMahon.
man.
You think Vince McMahon is scared of AEW? Scared of Old Dust? Cody what? Cody Rhodes? Cody Jabroni? I mean, Jack what? Jack Hammenegger? Who is that? Like,
Undefeated Bellator heavyweight
yeah,
Jake
he
Hager.
faced a nobody, man.
Freddie, show the shirt more.
show some
People can't
respect.
see it. Go up. Move the mic. You don't move. I'll move
Wrestling world will always be Vince McMahon's.
the mic. Ooh. Take a look, guys. Take a look at that shirt.
Grandpa Jericho? Come on, man.
Oh, by the way,
I guess Fred's not a fan of AEW.
hey, listen.
I believe in Vince.
I love Vince, but I know that he's like 70-something years old.
But he looks great.
and there's a limit.
Look how good he looks. Look at that face.
I don't believe
a
in
face
an,
a mother can
I
love.
don't believe in an 80-year-old man being a creative genius anymore.
What?
Like,
How dare
I
you?
don't believe at 80
Oh,
years
man.
old you could be the source of
Ooh, that's-
creative wrestling brilliance.
You're gonna have all the
I think-
seniors after you, Dave Simon.
I think at a certain
Not
point,
me and Freddie.
you lose. Like,
How old is Bernie
like
Sanders?
Paul McCartney.
Don't you like him?
Paul McCartney's not putting out hit records
Yeah,
anymore.
but he's still touring.
But the songs are that people like from Paul McCartney are the songs he wrote when he was how old?
It doesn't
right?
matter, but he's still
no, but
performing,
it does.
Dave.
It does matter.
He's still getting like groupies. He's getting
All right,
everything.
I brought
What
you
more do
Bernie
want?
Sanders.
Creativity has a short window, like martial arts. Your creativity window, big art, like the Rolling Stones. You know, they may still make albums, but people don't really care about
Blasphemy,
their
Dave.
new
Vince
music.
McMahon
What?
still on top of the game.
People fall off. No one's listening to KRS-One's new shit.
What are you talking about? I even dressed up as Crocodile Dundee. He's a legend. Listen,
You don't even
Mick
know
Jagger-
who KRS-One is, AJ.
I don't know, but I know KY. But the thing is this. I'm going to tell you, Dave. Mick Jagger is still rocking it, man.
Was this the big reveal, Fred?
Yeah, man.
Was
Yeah,
this
man.
it?
That was
Vince
it.
McMahon.
Vince McMahon is your big...
I mean, I felt you needed to be reminded.
That's it.
Vince McMahon still rules
You know,
wrestling.
you know I love Vince. I love Vince McMahon.
You're a little too much on the AEW, man.
I just really like AEW.
I mean, look, they got a bunch of old guys. What? I'm supposed to be impressed by Goldust
Well,
and,
Goldust was good.
whatever, like
he was barely on the show.
Jack Swagger. Come on, man.
Jack Swagger's pretty good.
He was a jabroni in WWE.
But they got Kenny Omega and Pac. and Hangman Page.
Vince McMahon eats
Luchasaurus,
Vince
MJF.
McMahon eats 3 Omegas a day.
Omega 3, 6.
I don't know what
9.
that means.
You don't get it. That's a
He'll
senior
chew
joke.
up Kenny Omega in a second, man.
Vince McMahon will?
Of course.
How?
He's Vincent K. McMahon.
Did you see Raw?
No. Told you, Vince. I can't
Did
wait
you
for
see-
Vince to
did you
show the
see-
money to MJF.
Did you see
Bring him to WWE, make him a huge star, because that's where he's gonna get the money. You know it, MJF. You may be acting like all like yeah, but that's just part of your gimmick. You know you're coming.
See?
You're like the new $1 million man. You're perfect for this.
You're telling me AEW is no good, but all you really want is Vince to take AEW stars. You just want to see
Who
AEW
else? I just
stars
said.
in a WWE
I just said
ring.
MJF. AEW could keep Cody. They could keep Jericho. They could keep all these old guys. Swagger, Old Dust, whatever.
And we can get the new young guys like Undertaker and Goldberg in WWE. Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair
if
in Saudi
AEW
Arabia. That's what we want to see, right?
Of course.
You want to see Bobby Lashley making out with Lana. You want to see cuckold storylines.
What?
That's what they're. They have.
hell?
They have 2 cuckold storylines going on currently on Monday Night Raw. Maria is legit pregnant and claiming Mike Kanellis, who, Mike, whatever his name is, her husband is not the father of the baby.
Is this real?
That's happening. And then she said Rusev was the father of the baby after she said Ricochet and a bunch of other guys. Hold on. After she said those guys were the father of the baby. So that's one cuckold storyline. And then there's another one where Lana, because maybe she's mad that Rusev is the father of Maria's baby or whatever, but she starts making out with Bobby Lashley very hard and very aggressively to end Monday Night Raw just before The Fiend showed up and attacked
Sounds
Seth
good, man.
Rollins. It was not good.
Sounds
it was
great.
bizarre.
Sounds awesome, man. I
Like,
missed it.
I remember
If
when
that sounds great, then yes, Vince McMahon is a genius.
I remember-
if that's what you're into,
Yeah.
you guys watch that. I much rather what happened at the end of Dynamite this week.
you're probably right.
You know I'm right. I'm definitely right.
I still believe in you, Vince.
I believe in you too, Vince.
He's gonna take over again.
I mean, I believe that he could pull
Take over
a rabbit out of his hat.
2019.
It's not fair to say that, you can't be creative in your 80s. I'm just saying that creativity has a window, and I think that window has expired.
Dave, that's so harsh, man. I don't know what to say.
It
You're gonna
is
get all
what it
kinds
is.
of hate
Still
letters.
owns the world of wrestling.
True.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he does. Yeah. He has the most shares right now.
And he looks so good for his age.
And he's going to own the world of football as well. All right? XFL coming up. I'm going to start the XHL. It's a thing that we started on Twitter.
What?
Like hockey, but more violent. I saw this thing somebody sent me where like a guy hit another guy into the boards and the glass exploded.
Yeah, but that's like it happens in hockey.
It should happen every game.
You know how much
They should
you know how
have-
much it costs to fix those
Hockey
things?
would be fun if they had exploding boards, like literally exploding, like there were explosives on the boards. So like, well, nothing that'll kill a guy, but it'll burn him. You know what I mean? And barbed wire boards too would be good. They should be able to hit each other
Barbed
with the
wire
sticks.
nets.
Not in the head or anything, but like in the body, they should be able to hit each other, just wear thicker padding or whatever. Hockey should just be more violent. I would watch hockey if it was mostly a fight. That's the only way you're getting me to come around and watch that. I know a lot of people love hockey, but I'm not into it.
And I think today is the day the season started.
Yeah, it
for the
starts tonight.
Like this is great coverage we're giving to hockey.
Yeah, I think the Canadians
Canadians'
are probably
first game.
playing their first game
Yeah,
tonight or whatever.
They
here.
are playing their first
It's
game.
a big deal in this city. I
Go
don't-
Habs, go.
I'm not even aware of that.
Come on, Dave.
But I would like more violence in hockey. I think violence is the answer.
You'd be like Don Cherry, man. You'd be on Don Cherry's side.
Yeah, but I want to take it further. Like I want to put them in a steel cage. I want to see them jumping off the steel cage and like doing dives.
Yeah,
you know?
but when-
I basically want it to be professional wrestling,
But right now,
with the goal of putting a puck in the net for some reason.
but when Khabib is jumping into the crowd, you get mad, man.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
tell
You
me,
see, you're
that's a
not
good
constant
point,
right
Dave.
now.
Well,
My friend,
if it
good
was
point.
if it was part of the
Good
rules
point.
of the sport, I would totally accept it. All right. Can we get back to the show?
Yeah, and you
This
got
is
mad at Connor for
ridiculous.
throwing a dolly at a bus. What's so bad about that? It's a
Man,
dolly.
let's get back to the show. And also, Khabib's dad is starting to consider that. Connor
I'm
rematch.
disappointed. I thought you were gonna like this is the surprise. This is a big surprise.
Well, that's pretty good. What about
Vinny
my guard?
Mac.
It's good. It's my birthday, and this is the surprise he's got for the
Listen,
show.
we were supposed to say that.
Nice.
By the way, just so you know, you can put out the wishes. It was Freddie's birthday last
I
week.
did bring some weed also.
And by the way, it's Dave Simon who's choking away here. Stay away from the light, Dave.
Legal.
Happy birthday, Dave. Bona fide.
No. We don't need to do that. We did that before. We had cupcakes, right?
They're awesome cupcakes. Your dad makes awesome lemon-scented cupcakes.
Unflavored, too.
They were very flavored. They were awesome.
You said scented.
So,
It's
Papa
like-
Simon, you are awesome.
All right. Back to the show.
You should be in Italy.
3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back. It is Ringside Report. I'm Dave Simon. He's Fred Garcia. AJ DeLessio is over there.
Crikey,
It's Ringside Report. We're talking about mixed martial arts.
at times.
Well, yeah. If you want to see what happens during the commercial breaks, you got to watch us on YouTube
It gets wild, man.
or listen to the podcast. www.ringsidereport.net is where you find all of that. All of our shows. You can watch Wrestling Uncensored. You can watch Dave and Johnny Live, which is going to be a big episode this week. Johnny North has a big title match coming up, which we're going to talk about. You can also watch the new show, the new Smackdown show.
That's tomorrow.
That's, Friday.
Smackdown.
Right after Smackdown. I will be live right after the first ever Smackdown on Fox featuring The Rock, Brock Lesnar wrestling Kofi Kingston for the WWE title.
Hope he smashes him.
Kevin Owens wrestling Shane McMahon in a ladder match. I will be on the YouTube channel right after the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox for the new show, a brand new show on the Ringside Report Network, Smackin It with Dave.
Sounds
The SmackDown
sounds
show.
exciting, Dave.
Smackin It with Dave, the SmackDown show.
Just yourself?
Well, me and special guests.
Well, if you want to smack it, you should get Johnny North here.
Hey, he's
'Cause
great at smacking it.
He's good at smacking it and looping it and everything.
Laying the smackdown. So
He's good.
you may be on Smacking It here with me. You may be smacking it with me. Fred might be smacking it with me.
You want to smack it with Dave?
My brother even might be on the Smacking It show. Johnny North for sure will make appearances on the show. So it'll be on after most Smackdowns. We'll see how big Smackdown remains. You know, they got a big show this week. They've got the draft.
Are they
so we'll
still
do some
so
some
they still
Smacking
have-
It, and it's gonna be a test run with some new equipment as well.
Wow, that's
Smacking
awesome.
It is gonna have a brand new look. So definitely
Like a sexy look, I guess?
be on the lookout for the YouTube channel. Go to ringsidereport.net for more info.
Dave, is it going to look sexy or not?
Of course, it's
you go.
Smacking It with Dave. How could it not be sexy?
So they're still splitting the roster for Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, they're going to do a draft next week, the 11th of October in Las Vegas.
Ooh. You should be there.
In Vegas?
Yeah,
I'm
you
good.
should be in Vegas. Like,
No, I got to be here for Smacking It.
well, you get back and smack it.
Back and smack it. So coming up this weekend, we've got UFC 243, Israel Adesanya taking on
yeah.
Robert Whittaker. I just want to tee up the month for you because this is our first show in October, and we've got a pretty awesome month coming up in the UFC. We've got 243 coming up this Saturday. Next Saturday, it's UFC in Tampa. Joanna Jędrzejczyk taking on Michelle Watterson, the karate hottie. So that should be a really good fight there. Then you have the same night, AJ, I know you're excited about this, Bellator 220 in Italy.
Wow.
Melvin Manhoef will be fighting on that card.
That's probably an afternoon card. Though.
Yeah, probably an afternoon show from Bellator there. Then the following Friday, the 18th of October, UFC in Boston, a rare Friday night show for the UFC. It'll be Chris Weidman taking on Reyes there in the main event.
That'll be a good one.
Then you've got Bellator the following Friday. Frank Mir taking on Roy Nelson.
Wow.
Right?
Oldie.
UFC Singapore towards the end of the month on the 26th. Damian Maia versus Ben Askren.
That's going to be a good one.
And that same day, it's Douglas Lima versus Rory McDonald for Bellator 222. And then the following Saturday, the first Saturday in November, so we're a month away now from the BMF title on the line. Nate Diaz, George Masvidal, UFC 244. The countdown is on for UFC 244, we will be doing a big watch along, right?
Big
We're going to
time.
do a watch along for that pay-per-view live on the YouTube channel. We're going to play poker. We're going to party. Hopefully Paul doesn't come and take
Pizza.
our money again. We're going to get pizza. Fred loves the pizza, of
The
course.
pizza was awesome. Yeah.
We're going to have a good
I'm
time.
going to dress up as Connor because
So,
Connor is like really involved with this BMF.
Get ready for that. Watch UFC 244 with us coming up on the first Saturday night in November. But right now, UFC 243 is what we have on our calendar for this Saturday night. Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, the UFC middleweight championship fight, 20-4. Robert Whittaker just beat Yoel Romero, taking on the undefeated Israel Adesanya, who really impressed me in his last fight against Kelvin Gastelum, that 5-round war that they went to. My goodness, that was maybe fight of the year, right? Like,
I think it
was there a better fight in 2019 than Adesanya and Kelvin Gastelum? I'm not sure there was. I think that was maybe the best fight we saw, and a really impressive performance from Israel Adesanya, who comes into this fight as the favorite. Slight favorite.
Well,
minus 120.
You know what?
Whittaker plus 100. This is a very tough
But they're
fight.
changing that.
It's a tough fight to call. And, you know, this could be another one of those really tough, really violent, back and forth wars for Israel Adesanya. Like, this is going to be a tough one. Both of these guys, man, they have a lot of like similar skills. Like, they like to stand and trade, you know. Neither of these guys much for grappling. Adesanya, a little bit of a flashier striker, I guess, than Whittaker.
He has good wrestling too,
Whittaker's
Dave.
yeah, but he really doesn't use it that much, right?
And so does but you never
It's
know.
more
I mean,
takedown defense for both of these guys.
absolutely. I mean, Whittaker definitely has, like, in my opinion, like a superior boxing skills.
You think so?
I think so. And you know what? His kicking game is just as sharp. And that's what I think. I mean, it's going to be a bit tough. The odds are changing all the time. I think the last time I checked, they were pretty much even. It was a pick 'em up to like a couple hours ago. But you know what? Israel is the most active guy in this whole, like, between the two guys, obviously. I mean, you got to give some credit to Whittaker. He was injured. He had abdominal hernia surgery. That's what took him out of the game. Or else he would have been fighting. But Israel, like, right now has had like 6 fights in the last 14 months. This guy is active.
The last time we saw Whittaker was June of 2018. Adesanya, you know, he fought in July 2018, November, February 2019, and then here April of this year. Like, he's fought quite a bit while Whittaker has been inactive.
I've jumped on the Adesanya bandwagon for the last couple of fights because when I look at him, to me he looks like a champion. He looks like he has the charisma, he has the skills, he has the personality that people want to see. So I'm hyped for this fight. Whittaker's an excellent fighter, and yeah, it's probably like a pick him. It's probably the right odds. I would go around predicting it as a pick him, but I'm gonna pick Adesanya. I hope he continues to grow. I think he has like the charisma to be a huge star. I love how he just talks a lot. I think it's part. If you want to sell yourself, you have to talk a lot. And see, I know Adesanya because he's been talking a lot. Like him and Whittaker, they both have a great record. Like if you both high, but I know more about Adesanya because he's putting his name out there. So I'm hyped to see him.
He's underappreciated. That's the problem with Whittaker. He's kind of like a Demetrius Johnson and all that kind of stuff.
But it's by his own fault. Put your name out there.
But you know what? He's a different type of champion. And the thing is that we can't forget, he's beat Jacare Souza. He's beat Romero. I mean, you're looking at 2 solid fighters. And Israel beat Gastelum, and now he's coming up against a solid fighter, which is Whittaker.
He also beat Anderson Silva.
He beat Anderson Silva, but let's remember,
not
Anderson Silva, not in his prime. And you know what? Israel reminds me a lot of Anderson Silva as a young fighter. No doubt about it. In my opinion. But the thing is that he didn't fight a Romero and he didn't fight a Jacare Souza.
But remember when Conor came up? He was a star after beating like Dennis Seaver. I mean, Adesanya could be a star after only wins like against Gastelum and Silva, just because like of his personality. That's why people want to see him.
Yeah,
So,
he's got more marketability.
I agree. Like the if you look at the who Whittaker defeated, it might be more impressive than what Adesanya's done. I still like Adesanya. I'm hoping he goes with a win. I think that's the type of personality that the sport needs to grow.
I like Adesanya. He's flashy. He's got style. His, both in and out of the cage, right? Like, he's got a fun style. This guy was a champion kickboxer. I think he is going to win the fight. I'm picking him to win, and I think he's going to be a big star for the UFC going forward. This Israel Adesanya train is leaving the station, AJ, and you are not jumping on the bandwagon. Fred and I are firmly with Israel Adesanya to win this
So you're picking
fight.
Whittaker?
Of course I'm going with Whittaker.
Of course
and
he
you know
is.
What?
Look at him.
Look at me. But the thing is that let's not forget, it's Whittaker. If it was not Israel fighting him at this point, we would all be saying Whittaker is like one of the best MMA fighters out there. And look, he's been out of the game, not of his fault. It just happened that he had emergency surgery. But this guy's coming back, and he's a bigger fighter, mind you, which is kind of interesting. I think he has a couple of inches on Israel.
Like he might be a little thicker, but I don't think...
He's thicker, but the funniest thing is that he has like a smaller reach than Gastelum. And the thing with Gastelum, he was getting in the pocket with Israel, and that is like where I think is the weakness of Israel. If Robert Whittaker can get in that pocket, he's going to devastate him. His defense, his leg defense is not the greatest, that's for sure. But you know what? His kicking offense is up there with his striking. That's a problem with Whittaker. He's so underappreciated as a fighter and probably as a champion. But if he beats Israel again, it's going to make people realize who he is. If he beats him right now.
Yeah, if he beats Israel, if he's the first guy to beat Israel, right? Israel Adesanya coming in here 17-0, as I mentioned. If he beats him, then for sure he's solidified as the #1 middleweight in the world. Right now, I think there's a serious debate. Is it Israel Adesanya or is it Robert Whittaker? And that's why this fight is so good, because we're really going to find out who the #1 guy is at 185 pounds. You look around the UFC, and it's really these two guys and everybody else right now.
Well, don't forget Costa, right?
Well,
let's not forget that. That's
Costa's
a name that's coming.
He's probably next in line, but I think right now Paulo Costa is looked at as a contender, but these two are looked at as the two best in the UFC. I mean, they both have championships, right? Adesanya comes in as an interim champion. This is the fight to kind of settle who the true champion is in the UFC, and then we can move forward, deal with Paulo Costa, and see if he's the real deal, right? If Paulo Costa is the real deal, hey, good. Let's see what Paulo Costa does as champion. But right now, we got to settle this Adesanya thing, and then we figure it out.
That's why I'm hoping Adesanya wins. I want to see him against Costa. I kind of agree with AJ that Costa is definitely in the discussion. But yeah, the fight to make right now is between the champion and the interim champion. So Adesanya, Whittaker, let's do this. Should be great. Like, I'm hyped for this.
Yeah.
Like, there's been some good fights in 2019, but this is definitely one of the fight that should get people hyped for.
Yeah, this is a big fight, but the card isn't super strong behind it. And I feel like, hardcore MMA fans are definitely going to be paying attention, but the general public just isn't going to catch this one. This is
I don't know about that, Dave.
This is not a big one. I don't think it sells a bunch of pay-per-views. The fight is good, but I don't know how big Israel Adesanya is. Like, for sure, it's a big fight. I'm not taking anything away from them, but they don't sell like a Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic type of fight. They don't sell like a John Jones, right? They're not superstars in the UFC. You look at UFC 242 even with Khabib, probably a bigger deal because it's Khabib. You look at UFC 244, the next pay-per-view, definitely a bigger deal with George Masvidal and Nate Diaz, and even the undercard of that one, way better than the undercard of this one. You're looking at Kelvin Gastelum, Darren Till, Johnny Walker, Corey Anderson. I could stop there, but there are more fights on this card that are really great. So,
this card is mainly a one-fight card.
It's a one-fight card. And that one fight is good.
But I'll tell you what it's...
But look, is it as good or as intriguing as the George Masvidal and Nate Diaz fight? No, it's not, right? I think
It's probably not, but it should be still a huge
it's
fight.
respectable. It's maybe more respectable, and Nate Diaz, George Masvidal is not to determine the number one at whatever division they're fighting at, 170, right? It's not to determine the number one guy. This is to determine a number one guy, but
I think one of the issues is that they're in Australia.
It's post-Conor McGregor, in the post-Conor age of MMA, the number one guy doesn't really matter so much. It's whoever the BMF is, and the BMF title, I think that's the biggest championship in the UFC right now. The world championships, the main titles for the UFC, the divisional titles, if you want to call them, they mean less than the BMF titles.
Look, Dave.
They do.
Look, there's one thing that's...
They're not as big a star as Masvidal and Diaz, that's for sure. But I'll tell you another thing. Like, these two are from the region over there. They're from Australia and from New Zealand.
Yeah.
So anyways, they're from over there. So it makes sense to have the fight over there. But having the fight over there means that they're not doing the media rounds here. They're not going through ESPN and all the other channels that could promote them. So... it's a give and take. Like, yeah, of course, it's not going to sell as much as Masvidal, but it's still a huge fight.
But also, this card did take a hit because Holly Holm got hurt last week, right?
Yeah,
Holly Holm was supposed to fight in the co-main event against Raquel Pennington, but
Dave,
that fight is now off because Holm got a hamstring injury.
Yeah, hamstring, exactly. But I don't know if you heard, like today, Dana White was kind of hyping it up even a little bit further. I mean, he's looking at Israel. If he wins, if he beats Whittaker, I mean, all of a sudden, like Dana took like a 180 and he's opened up like a floodgate and saying, you know what? Israel wins, John Jones might be next for him.
Really, though?
He actually said that. So
they've been going back and forth on Twitter. They've been talking to each other, talking trash. And I don't really buy it because Israel's way too small.
Look, Dana White went nuts. He went as far as saying...
I think Israel wants it.
Sure, why not?
But he would get smashed.
But listen to the payday. It would be a... Well, you don't know. Let's see how he does with Whittaker. Let's just see what happens here because John Jones is having
the size or the wrestling. We're talking about John Jones potentially going to heavyweight and becoming the heavyweight champion of the world. You really think that the middleweight champion has a shot against John Jones? John Jones is a giant, man. He's big. He's strong. He can out-wrestle Israel. He'll outweigh him by like 30 to 40 pounds.
But maybe Israel could sell it with his mouth. That's all. But yeah, look.
Sure, you could sell the fight, but... to me...
There's not a lot of options for John Jones right now, so...
But I have a discerning eye for fights, and I know that fight is ridiculous.
No,
and John
not
Jones,
according
so
to
you
Dana
want to
White.
see John Jones against Jan Blachowicz or whatever?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I want to see John Jones against...
Cormier.
Brock
Israel.
Lesnar. Where's Brock Lesnar?
He's there.
He's on SmackDown.
Give Brock the money.
He's smacking it.
Yeah, Brock is smacking it.
He's a vegetarian now. But listen... Dave, honestly, if Dana White is talking this I guess shit.
No,
I can't say that. Ah, damn.
Run.
Okay, I forgot. So listen. So let's say Dana White is saying this kind of stuff. You know what else he said? He says, you know what? I want to see George against Khabib. Dana White is opening up. He's opening up these fights. Why? Who knows? Maybe because I don't know. The company went public. I have no idea. They need money. So why he's not just talking for no reason. If Israel beats Whittaker, John Jones is next.
Maybe he is serious because you look at the options for John Jones, there aren't that many good options out there for him. Israel Adesanya, if he beats Robert Whittaker, hey, he's the middleweight champion. He's undefeated. You could sell him going up to 205 pounds to challenge the light heavyweight champion. You could sell that to a lot of people with the right package, video packages and editing and the right hype and all that. But on this show, we will tell you the truth and tell you that John Jones is a better wrestler. He's just a better all-around mixed martial artist.
He's better than everybody.
And he's way bigger. Yeah, but at least with Gustafsson and Daniel Cormier, it's a fair fight.
Well, look, I'd rather see John Jones against Adesanya than a rematch with Gustafsson or Cormier, honestly.
I'd rather
at least it's a new match.
I'd rather see him fight DC.
Well, maybe the Cormier one, but at heavyweight. But other than that, what's out there for John Jones? We
Not
just
much.
leave him on the shelf. Like there's Johnny Walker, but is Johnny, like me and you agree, Johnny Walker's still like green. He still needs to prove himself.
Well, Johnny Walker's got to get through Corey Anderson before he can talk about John Jones. That fight's on the BMF card, UFC 244, November 2nd.
It's going to be awesome.
That is a big fight, guys. Do not sleep on Corey Anderson. I know you guys are really excited about Johnny Walker, but do not be surprised if Corey Anderson decisions him and just completely.
So we got to bring some Johnny Walker for that poker night?
We're gonna,
bring some Johnny Walker.
I'm going to bring some Johnny Walker.
Some blue label, AJ, you're going to throw the money?
Blue label or red?
I'll have a little bit of the bubbly.
Look, everybody, you know what? Johnny Walker, you know, he's next in line. That's a fight to make.
If he can beat Corey Anderson, which an
he
if.
will.
We'll see.
You know, it's
Didn't
Johnny
we
Walker.
make a bet?
Yeah, we did.
Don't you owe me bagels?
No, we kind of lost the bagel thing because
the bagel-
thank you, bagel guy.
Yeah, bagel guy, you
What's
didn't
up?
even fight.
What's up with that?
We were supposed to have a bet. I took Screech to beat the bagel guy. Bagel guy was supposed to fight, what's his name?
Lenny
Dykstra. But Lenny pulled out of the fight, which we told you about last week. And then the celebrity boxing news was the Angry Bagel guy was going to fight Screech from Saved by the Bell. But then that fight never happened because the bagel guy apparently was in his car smoking weed all day and releasing
What is he, John Jones?
and releasing videos on Twitter saying like he's not showing up. Apparently the promoter paid the bagel guy and Lenny Dykstra like $15,000 up front before the fight even happened, which like what did you think was going to happen?
Seriously.
So the bagel guy didn't even show up. I didn't buy the pay-per-view. I decided to watch Bellator instead of watching the bagel guy fiasco, and I'm glad that I did because at least I got to see the great Gegard Mousasi get a victory over the legend Lyoto Machida instead of watching Screech, I think, parade around in the ring. I don't know what he did, but Screech...
But at least he showed up.
He was the least interesting celebrity out of this whole thing. I wanted to see Lenny Dykstra or the bagel guy, but instead they just had Screech. So 2 thumbs down for that celebrity boxing. Big failure on that one. They did not come through. As much as Bellator's pick'em deal that made the card run super late was, you know, that whole Bellator debacle that we talked about earlier. As bad as that was, as boring as UFC Denmark was at times, you know, there were some good fights, but, you know, whatever. Better than no bagel guy. I mean, it's the bagel guy pay-per-view, and the bagel guy doesn't even show up.
Actually, I'll watch the bagel guy one more time. If he fights the guy from the Howard Stern show.
He's not going to fight.
If he fights, what's his name? Beetlejuice? What's his name? Beetlejuice?
You think Beat isn't fighting anybody?
Beat should fight the bagel guy. I would pay to watch that.
Beetlejuice is in not great health. He's not fighting anyone. Let's leave Beetlejuice alone.
If Beetlejuice fights the bagel guy,
Bagel
I'm there.
guy was trying to fight one of the guys from the Howard Stern show, but he wasn't biting. It wasn't Beetlejuice.
Howard Stern would crush him.
Not a whack pack guy.
Howard Stern would just stomp him.
Howard Stern is not going to lower himself to fighting the bagel guy.
He's a big guy.
Only you would lower
him.
yourself to do that.
I would fight the bagel guy if you give me some money.
Of course you would. You're not
for
Howard
a dozen
Stern.
bagels. I'll do it.
Yeah.
From Montreal Bagels.
Howard Stern doesn't need the money.
He doesn't. He has an awesome show. Howard
Yeah.
Stern.
20 grand. 20 grand for him is like, you know,
pocket change.
It means nothing. 20 grand for us, it's like,
Howard,
20 grand.
Howard, we need 20 grand. Send it our way.
Yeah, if it means nothing to you, Howard.
Like you get a better costume for
I'm sure he watches this show.
Crocodile Dundee.
He's a big fan of MMA.
He does. He puts likes on our Instagram page.
Everybody likes our show.
Who doesn't like Ringside Report?
Harvey Keitel, your good buddy,
Harvey
watches
Keitel.
our show.
Harvey.
Right? What's up, Harvey? We love you.
What's his new movie, by the way?
We're looking forward to The Irishman, Harvey. It's going to be awesome.
Next time, put me in it, Harvey.
Well, isn't he doing the life story of AJ DeLesio?
That, Dave, you let the cat out of the bag.
I thought he wasn't. Who's playing
me and Johnny North.
Who was playing you again?
AJ. I said I wanted to play myself like
Sylvester
Sylvester
Jason
Stallone.
Statham was going to play you.
Well, you know what? He doesn't have the physique like me, poor Jason.
Oh, okay,
and he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, so
yeah,
doesn't
he's
work.
not good enough, eh?
He's not.
Any other fight on this UFC 243 card you interested in?
Let's see. I wanted to see Holly. That's for sure.
How many guys don't have a Wikipedia page? Because that's always a gauge.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Why are we saying that?
11 guys on this card don't have Wikipedia.
22.
Listen, Dave.
Out of 22. That's like half the card doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, which means they're relatively unknown to everyone.
But that's not fair to Ali Quinta. This guy is.
Quinta has a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, but that's going to be a good fight. So you can't diss that fight with Dan Hooker. It's going to be a good fight. Come on, Dave. That's going to be a war. Then you have Tai Tuivasa, who's going to be fighting. That should be a good fight. It'll be a knockout there. He's fighting in his hometown. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but he's fighting Sergey Spivak, whoever that is.
Spivak was supposed to be a big prospect, and he didn't do too well in his first fight. So, look, Ty's going to go there, probably knock him out. But you know what? It's a crowd favorite. Everybody likes Tai Tuivasa.
Okay. So
Tuivasa, not Tuivisi.
You don't even know who he is. You'll be watching the card though, UFC 243 on Saturday night.
I watched them all except for last week. Me and Freddie were busy.
Yeah, you watch them all except for the ones you don't. I actually do watch them all. Even though I may disparage the cards, I'm always there watching. I'm addicted to them.
Next time I see you missing one, I'm going to call you out.
Yeah, exactly, because we're always watching.
Right now, you're lying.
That's true. I don't watch them all.
Happy birthday,
you got
Dave.
me. I agree.
First of all,
I agree.
Everybody, just so you hear, it's Dave's birthday today. So happy birthday, Dave Simon.
Thank you.
Golf clap.
That was nice.
That's all you're gonna say?
Well,
what the heck?
Thank you for everybody who reached out on the Twitter and Facebook and so on to wish me happy birthday. It's very nice. I had a nice dinner with my family. I ate shrimp and lobster, which, how could you go wrong with shrimp and lobster? Shrimp, lobster, cupcakes.
But we're missing a red lobster.
Spending time with my family, my parents, my grandmother.
That's good.
Good
son. You're a good son. You're a good dad too.
Good dad. I'm all right.
But I was saying Red Lobster. You did get a gift as a Red Lobster.
Oh well, yeah. I'm gonna go to Red Lobster. One of my gifts was a trip where we're gonna go. And we're going to stop at a Red Lobster on the way because I love Red Lobster because they give you like tons of shrimp, and I like that. I like shrimp and lobster a lot. And I'm going to go see Norm Macdonald, my favorite comedian.
He's awesome.
So that's fun, right? Norm Macdonald? I love that guy.
Didn't you do like a book review on him?
Yeah, on the Dave and Johnny Live. I read his book, and I don't read books. So, I like
Dave
you
doesn't
if I'm
read.
reading your book. It was a great book. It was really funny. So Dana White says he's interested in George St-Pierre versus Khabib Nurmagomedov.
That's what I've been saying.
If Khabib beats Tony Ferguson, which is a big if. Tony could definitely beat Khabib, but Dana White now seems open to the idea of George St-Pierre and Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I saw a picture of GSP. I don't know if you guys saw this. GSP posted where he's with Kevin Lee and Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who are both UFC lightweights. Like they both fight 155 pounds. George was the smallest guy in the picture.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
For anybody wondering whether or not George could fight at 155 pounds, look at that picture. There's no doubt in my mind that he could make the weight, that he's preparing to make the weight. Even Dana White said himself that he's pretty sure that George walks around lighter than Khabib walks around. So I think Dana is a believer that George can make this at 155 pounds. I think Dana's willing to give him a title shot. And if Khabib beats Tony Ferguson, I think that's what's going to happen. So once again, I've been saying it from the start. George isn't retired.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he went down to that weight. I was like calling it out, saying because of his
Did you
IBS
see that
and
picture
whatnot.
of George?
I did, and I was like shocked. So he's obviously doing it for a reason.
Hopefully it gets done. I'll tell you what, I think George's camp is going to play a little bit hardball. Maybe, it's going to be their turn to say, like, we want
Honestly, guys, I don't even want to talk about it because I don't think we're ever going to get to that point because I think Tony Ferguson's going to beat Khabib.
What?
So just give me Tony Ferguson versus George.
I don't think
it's not going to be the same.
No, it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to happen, and George will just stay retired because like I said, the UFC should give us George and Khabib now.
Dave.
Don't wait because Khabib's going to lose to Tony Ferguson, and then the George Khabib fight will never happen, and then we'll never get to see George St. Pierre fight again. I want to see George fight again. Give him Khabib right now. Do not give Tony Ferguson the fight. If Khabib loses to George, he can still fight Tony. If George loses to Khabib, great. Khabib can still fight Tony. The Tony Ferguson fight will always be there for Khabib. The George St-Pierre fight might not always be there because I think Khabib is going to lose to Tony Ferguson.
Wow.
And then George will not want to fight Tony Ferguson or Khabib, and he'll just stay retired.
And you know what I'm going to say.
Gonna happen.
Dave, you know what I'm going to say. It's simple. George he's in a good position, left
Maybe
or
George
right.
will fight Conor at that point.
Exactly. I've been saying that from the beginning.
I knew you were going there.
You know I was going there because even his coach said, George's coach said, he doesn't care who he fights. It's either going to be Khabib or Conor. So that's what's going to happen. George is preparing for either or. Either or, it's going to be a money fight, and either or, he might fight both of them, depending if he beats Khabib or if he beats Conor. He's going to fight them at some point. And Khabib wanted it as well. In his contract, when he renewed with the UFC, he stipulated to Dana White that he wanted to fight George. So that fight, it looks like it's going to happen as long as Khabib beats Ferguson.
I don't think Khabib beats Ferguson. I think Khabib loses to Tony Ferguson. I think Ferguson's going to put a lot of pressure on him, punch him in the face several times. Khabib might take him down, but I think he's going to have a harder time keeping Tony Ferguson down than he did with Dustin Poirier or Conor McGregor.
But
Tony Ferguson is a lot bigger than Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier.
Do you think
he's a much better wrestler. He's a much better grappler. He's much better off his back. He's got way more options. He's got a lot of chokes from a lot of different positions. Tony Ferguson is the real deal.
Yeah, but do you think he hits harder than Al Iaquinta? And let's not forget that fight with Khabib, because Khabib got peppered by Al, and he took it.
I think Tony Ferguson not only hits harder with Al Iaquinta tends to use mostly his fists to do the hitting.
He's a brawler,
but
Long Island brawler.
Look, Tony Ferguson will slice you with his elbows. He will knee you in the face. He will kick you in the face. He will smack you with shin bone. He will punch you as well. Tony Ferguson is a guy who uses every weapon at his disposal. He is the ultimate fighting machine. He is a monster.
He is. Till he trips over a cord.
Khabib was built to do this, but Tony Ferguson is a different type of fighter. Hey, it's the fight I want to see. I'm not saying Khabib couldn't win this fight. Not saying it's impossible. I just think, if I were to bet on it, I'd bet on Tony Ferguson.
Look, it's going to be the toughest fight.
If Tony Ferguson beats Khabib, then the GSP-Khabib fight, it's just not happening.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But again, if anyone's going to be giving Khabib a challenge, I agree with you. It's going to be Ferguson. But do I think that Khabib is going to be intimidated by Ferguson? I don't think so. I think it's too bad for Tony Ferguson.
They just need to get a date and get it done. That's all that needs to be done. Between Khabib and Tony, we need to get a date, and both of them need to show up this time.
I think it's got to be, early in 2020, either January or February, March at the very latest. Let's get this Khabib-Tony Ferguson fight done, and let's move right along. I want to see this fight.
When's the December card fight, the last one?
The December card is going to be UFC 245, and that's funny you mention it because I wanted to talk about that just as we wrap up the show. We did mention that the welterweight title is official. Kamaru Usman will be defending against Colby Covington in the main event of that one. Again, a super stacked pay-per-view there. Max Holloway, the featherweight champion, defending against Alexander Volkanovski, and Amanda Nunes, the bantamweight champion, defending against Jermaine Durandamy. So, boom, a triple championship pay-per-view, UFC 245 in December. Compare that to UFC 243. I mean, come on. It's almost not fair. UFC 243 is the pay-per-view that's getting kicked around. 244, you got the BMF title. 245, you got 3 championships on the line. This one, you got a great middleweight fight, but after that, it's a major drop-off as far as star power and championships, right?
I mean, anything could happen on the 245. I mean, there could be a surprise that could happen that... Who knows? Maybe a Khabib fight could happen on that card as well.
On 245 as well? You're going to add a 4th title fight?
Absolutely. If you're going to go...
that card's full.
You want to bet? You want to bet it doesn't happen?
Listen,
it's
anything
full.
is
like
possible.
Fred said, that card is full.
Absolutely is full. But when Dana's throwing out Khabib against George
you're done,
and
AJ.
Conor and all the rest, you know what? You never know.
Go home. You're drunk. You've been celebrating too much. What do they drink in Australia? Foster's?
Foster's, man.
Yeah, you got
a problem with Foster's?
You've been drinking too much Foster's over there, Crocodile Dundee.
You call that a knife, Dave? This is a knife.
You played Knifey Spoony before.
You like the spoon.
I know that from The Simpsons.
What?
Yeah, I haven't seen them. That's a Simpsons thing for me. Yeah, the water. You know when Bart...
Oh, yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah?
It goes the opposite way.
You've seen The Simpsons?
Of course, man. What do you think I am?
Well, I don't know.
I'm surprised you saw Crocodile Dundee. That's what I'm surprised.
I didn't. I just told you I didn't.
I thought you'd... Okay.
Again, you don't... I mean, I'm familiar with the movie, but I've never actually seen it.
That's like... It's so important to watch.
There's two of them.
There's two of them, too. That's true. He comes to New York.
I like that you think it's important to watch Crocodile Dundee.
Yes.
It's not as important as watching us on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport.dotnet. Subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment, like the video. More info is on our website at www.ringsidereport.net. You can follow us on the things. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Dave Simon MMA. Follow AJ at Danny Bruck. Follow Freddie at Freddie MMA. Check us out for Dave and Johnny Live every Friday afternoon at about 12:30. Johnny and I talking some professional wrestling. Wrestling Uncensored this week is a very big show, the WWE Premiere Week, AEW with their first ever TV show. We're going to talk about all of that coming up this week. You could watch it. You could listen to it on TSN 690. You could watch it on the website. So many options for you. We're always here for you. Pro wrestling, MMA, Smackin' It with Dave, the brand new show.
Dave likes to smack it.
Live right after SmackDown on Fox, 8 p.m. on Friday night. You could watch at about 10 p.m. Friday night, Smackin' It with Dave, a brand new show on the Ringside Report Network.
And don't forget Johnny's big fight, October 26th. You forgot that,
Yes,
Dave.
well, we'll talk about it on Dave and Johnny Live, all right?
Oh, okay.
Johnny will promo it. Don't worry. We're going to take that title back.
I hope so.
All right. For AJ and Freddie, I'm Dave. And this has been Ringside
Report.
Port.
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 Port.